Everywhere at the End of Time is a musical project by Leyland the Caretaker Kirby that depicts the progression of dementia in auditory form. The Caretaker has done many ambient musical projects, but this is by far his most popular. It is considered by some to be one of the greatest musical projects ever created, letting people experience the sobering effects of a disease that they may never have. Everything from the selection of samples, levels of distortions, name of the songs, and replications of real phenomena that people with dementia experience, that you realistically feel the deterioration of your prized memories. While I have listened to parts of the album before, I have never listened to the full 6.5-hour-long project, ever, until now. Over 6 days, I listened to Everywhere at the End of Time in its totality. The project contains 6 stages, each of which slowly distorts into confusion and eventually blankness. These are my progression of thoughts throughout. Here, we experience the first signs of memory loss. This stage is most like a beautiful daydream, the glory of old age and recollection, the last of the great days. Leyland Kirby. The length of this stage is 40 minutes, and my favorite part is it's just a burning memory. Stage 1 is a collection of modified ballroom instrumentals, like what elderly people would have associated with their younger days. The music is slowed down, slightly distorted, and scratchier than their original songs, but still has a fully cohesive melody. The songs themselves are sentimental, almost like the person is reminiscing about their past. The first and most famous song, It's Just a Burning Memory, is an altered version of Heartaches by 1930s musician Al Boley. The titles of these songs hold a lot of sentimental meaning to the person, using a romantic diction. This leads me to believe this person is living out their last days with their partner. This person seems to accept the fact that their life will eventually come to an end, but for now, they can continue to live their content, predictable lives. The ballroom music adds to this theory. As an example, here are a few of the titles: My Heart Will Stop in Joy, Late Afternoon Drifting, and The Loves of My Entire Life. The album cover in this stage appears to be a rolled up newspaper. This could mean a lot of things, but I believe what it's supposed to symbolize is that this person has access to their memories, represented by the newspaper, but it takes more mental effort to unravel the newspaper or access said memories. This stage represents growing older for many people, not just those with dementia. Life may become more monotonous, represented by the repeating melodies in the songs. Things that do stand out are little imperfections, such as scratches, static, or a quick, unexpected deviation in the song before getting right back on track. This could represent mild forgetfulness, which is to be expected in an elderly person. The switch from romance to mild frustration, but not concern, the fact that memory isn't as good as it used to be, changes in the song Quiet Internal Rebellions. What's my son's birthday again? Of course, it's on the 24th. Silly me. Where's Betty? You can't find her. Oh, that's right. She's at the store right now. Everything is fine. I'm simply growing older and getting a little more forgetful. Everything is fine. The second stage is the self-realization and awareness that something is wrong, with the refusal to accept that. More effort is made to remember, so memories can be more long-form, with a little more deterioration in quality. The overall personal mood is generally lower than the first stage, and at a point before confusion starts setting in. Leyland Kirby. The length of this stage is 40 minutes, and my favorite part is denial unraveling. Stage 2's main characteristic is the off-putting songs within it. The songs are sad but ethereal, open, and majestic in the background. Primarily, the mood that these songs give is frustration, depression, denial, and a sort of uneasiness. This person trying to remember their memories within, creating mental fog throughout the stage, creates an empty and unnerving mood. This feeling is most evident in the song Glimpses of Hope in Trying Times. The songs on this stage have more discrepancies. to the point where the music becomes obviously eerie and distorted. It sounds like an old, worn-out record, which can also be used to represent the mental clarity of this individual. There are out-of-tune parts, off timings, and a strange but recognizable background. It can still be considered music, but just barely. Just how this person's mental state is on the cusp of being normal and not. The album cover of this stage has a lot to unpack. It's less easy to tell what this object is than in the previous stage, but it is still quite obviously a vase with 4 flowers on it. The flowers are slightly wilted and dying. The flowers could represent this person's love for their partner, and how their relationship is dying due to dementia. This theory is backed by the 2 faceless human-like figures on the side of the vase. The one on the left resembles a man, and the one on the right resembles a woman. The titles of this stage are also more depressing and give a sense of indifference and loss of courage, or other negative and hopeless sentiments that relate to this person's memory loss. For example, surrendering to despair, denial unraveling, what does it matter how my heart breaks? This person can't seem to understand how they feel about their memory loss, or even whether they recognize it or not. This contrast is especially apparent in the different moods of the songs. The motifs in these songs stay the same for some, but some new ones are also added throughout the stage. These novel musical elements seem to express more extreme emotions, rather than love and satisfaction. There isn't anything wrong. This is totally normal. Is it normal? Here, we are presented with some of the last coherent memories before confusion fully rolls in, and the gray mists form and fade away. The finest moments have been remembered. The musical flow in places is more confused and tangled. As we progress, some singular memories become more disturbed, isolated, broken, and distant. These are the last embers of awareness before we enter the post-awareness stages. Leyland Kirby. The length of this stage is 50 minutes, and my favorite part is long-term dust glimpses. Here, the music becomes much more distorted. The melodies of the songs are still there, but they are off-putting. The music retains little composure, and it's being taken over by the fog in the background. Songs suddenly end, notes are frequently offbeat and out of tune, and the songs have disintegrated to the point where they are starkly different from the original. This is the scariest part for me, since it's the beginning of the end. Even the most profound memories are heavily distorted. At this point, I believe they can't maintain a relationship with their partner due to the disease. Thus the name "And Heart Breaks" for one of the songs. A sense of loneliness is conveyed as a result. This is the first stage where I'd feel very strange if I heard it with no context. Some of the songs have coherent memories and could be considered avant-garde or ambient music, but some of the songs are just repeating arpeggios that are heavily distorted. Of course, when you're experiencing dementia, there are going to be good and bad days, which I think this stage represents. Some songs in this stage are similar to those in stage 4, but others are so coherent that they are closer to stage 2 or even stage 1, such as my favorite song in the entire project, Long-Term Dust Glimpses. There's more monotony in the melodies, but the distortion is much greater and comes in many more ways, such as repetition, confusing melodies, dampening, and songs getting cut off. This stage is scary, but it is my favorite of all the 6 stages, since it's the transition from lucidity to post-awareness. The titles of these songs have lost some of their romance or depression, and now seem to be more confused, worried, or slurred. The titles seem to be more sad, even though the music isn't as sad as stage 2. I think this has to do with the fact that the people around the person experiencing dementia are now grieving the loss of someone who is still alive. Loved ones know they will never be the same. The titles here often represent the viewpoint of others, not the actual person. Additionally, the titles that do represent the viewpoint of the person experiencing dementia give more of a lost, lonely, or uncontrollable mood. Titles are incoherent and are sometimes just fragmented words of sentences. Here are some examples. Drifting time misplaced, internal bewildered world, bewildered in other eyes, to the minimal great hidden, sublime beyond loss. The best way I could describe the emotions of these songs However strange it is nautical. I can imagine the titles of these songs being played on a broken submarine, plunging into the depths with no return. The world slowly turns darker before sinking into the abyss. At the end of this stage, we experience the first form of post-awareness, in the part Aching Cavern Without Lucidity. There is only white noise with some faint remnants of a melody in the background. The album cover here is the first one where it's not immediately recognizable what the figure is. It looks to be a tree, but it is so distorted, like the memories of the person, that it is hard to recognize what it is. I think it also could be the entangled neurons in this person's brain. It feels confused, without any structure like the previous stages. What's happening? Why is she gone? What's her name? Who? Post-awareness stage 4 is where serenity and the ability to recall singular memories gives way to confusions and horror. It's the beginning of an eventual process where all memories begin to become more fluid through entanglements, repetition, and rupture. Leyland Kirby. The length of this stage is 1.5 hours, and my favorite part is temporary bliss state. The music has now deformed into an alarming assortment of noises. There is no coherent melody, and the sounds are just unnervingly morphed together. Just as some coherence could be held onto for more than 5 seconds, slips away in the distortion of the melodies and the foggy background. None of the songs sound like music anymore. It sounds like many broken records stacked upon each other. Just as Stage 3 sounded nautical, Stage 4 sounds chilling. At this point, you can barely remember what the original music sounds like, and it seems like the whole world is crumbling. The more this person tries to remember the melodies, the more it gets confused and tangled. This person can no longer remember the most important things, and the once loving emotions have morphed into an empty void of pain. The sounds of despair, the effort to pick out some kind of melody but ultimately failing, and the once passive background clouds turning stormy and aggressive, categorize this stage. The song titles in this stage provide a stark difference from the previous stages. The titles no longer sound emotional, rather they sound cold and empty with little variation. 3 of the 4 parts are called Stage 4 Post-Awareness Confusions, and the other is called Temporary Bliss State. There is zero emotion behind these names as there was in the past. The album cover of this stage looks to be a woman, but the precise features and the colors have been so disturbed that you can't recognize it anymore. I assume that this person is the love of our patient's life, and how they can't maintain the relationship due to the dementia. The shape of this person looks vaguely like the famous painting, Girl with a Pearl Earring. According to art and media professor Martin Irvine, to me personally, I regard pearls as a sign of quiet and calm. Having what seems to have this image so heavily distorted may represent the chaotic and cataclysmic downfall of the patient. Then, starting at around the 2-hour 46-minute mark, we begin the brief mini-stage coined as the Hell Sirens. I would like for you to experience this without any commentary. Shortly after the hell sirens, the temporary bliss state begins. In this part, the melodies sound like a xylophone or mbira. They're distorted, but not nearly as heavily as the previous two stages. The fog in the background is also reduced. This part is different based on how you interpret it. It could sound happy, creepy, confused, or a combination of all three. This part is a break from the normal distortion, but it feels like a premonition for something much, much worse. And just as you start to get comfortable in the bliss state, the confusions begin again, and you return to the emptiness and pain of forgotten memories. More extreme entanglements, repetition, and rupture give way to calmer moments. The unfamiliar may sound and feel familiar. Time is often spent only in the moment leading into isolation. Leyland Kirby. The length of this stage is 1.5 hours, and my favorite part is Stage 5 Advanced Plaque Entanglements K1. I thought Stage 4 was bad. The loss of memory couldn't get any worse from here, right? Wrong. I can no longer pick out any melodies. There's just painful, cacophonous notes amid a storm of distortion. Scratches, what sounds like screams, static, and a fog-like background constitute this horror of the unknown. There are what sounds like the voice of a human in an entirely instrumental project, but they are too distorted to pick out what they are saying. Something is wrong, or the patient is too confused to know what it is. A pure fear in the collapsing prison of this person's mind. Hell. This is what hell sounds like. In the midst of the burning flames is a tangled mess of sounds that you can't break free from, terrorizing every one of your living, breathing seconds. But then, out of nowhere, a moment of clarity returns. Despite sounding scratchy, there's a melody. You can hear it, you can feel it, finally. You seem to recognize something that's around you. Unfortunately, this moment of normalcy only lasts for around 15 seconds, and it's the most tragic 15 seconds of the entire piece. The gift of thinking, something always taken for granted, and teased in front of them before being snatched away again. This phenomenon in real dementia patients is called paradoxical lucidity, and it is a moment of unexpected mental clarity in the midst of severe dementia. What is most heartbreaking about this is that people who have dementia and have forgotten how to speak can briefly communicate with other people during this moment of lucidity. "I'm scared. I want you to come with me," dementia patient Sarah to her husband. This stage has an aura of emptiness and confusion. In these parts, it is primarily abrasive static among faint, altered notes. The claps of thunder and hail sirens also consistently return during this stage. The mind has deteriorated so much that it can't be confused. These sounds are lonely and plunge into the depths of what a blank but conscious mind. Similar to Stage 4, the titles in this stage lack emotion and seem to be a hollow description of what our patient is experiencing. Additionally, the titles of the first two parts are repeated, similar to Stage 4. Titles are as follows: Stage 5 Advanced Plaque Entanglements K1, Stage 5 Advanced Plaque Entanglements L1, Stage 5 Synapse Retrogenesis, Stage 5 Sudden Time Regression into Isolation. The album cover of this stage is the first one where I can't pick out what it is, at all. For the rest of the album covers, there seems to be something that is somewhat recognizable. But here, it looks like a random assortment of figures that I can't quite put together. Similar to how this person is trying to find some way to put together the vague memories that they have, but ultimately coming up with an incoherent mess. The best guess I have on what this figure is a Victorian-era woman walking up a flight of stairs. But I'm almost certain it is something else, or perhaps nothing at all. This is the stage where confusion transitions into nothingness. At the beginning of the stage, there is too much going on. By the end, there is barely anything other than distorted static, the faint note here or there. I need help. What's happening? Host awareness stage 6 is without description. I know you. I love you. Betty, this is the end for me. Please remember me fondly and tell the kids I love them with all my heart. I'll see you soon. God will take care of you until then. Goodbye.
Such a sacred thing to me. I can't believe it's just a bird.